Hey guys, Axelmyth the Star Wars guy here. Today I'll be looking at episode 12 of the ongoing series Star Wars The Bad Batch on Disney+. If you'd like to catch up, I do have a playlist of every episode I've reviewed thus far. Definitely might want to check out the previous episode at least, as this is a continuation of that particular episode. Once again, we start out at the capital of Ryloth. Rempert's at the prison cells pretty much deflects at Cham and Eleni, trying to get them to give up their supporters and threatening them with finding Hera. He looks to Eleni to be reasonable, but she takes her stand. I see how you treat your allies, and I would rather be your enemy. And he just walks off. I don't know, this felt very powerful to me. From what I've seen of her, it doesn't surprise me, but from what I've also seen of Cham, I would expect him to say something like that. He seems rather melancholy lately. Rampart tells Hauser to be on the hunt for their supporters and arrest them on sight. Hauser questions Rampart's reasoning. He was there, and noticed that the blaster bolt didn't come from Cham or anybody there. Rampart uses the political scare tactic, and that leads into a discussion of searching for Hera, with Hauser volunteering to find her personally. But Rampart already has a team on the job, so he gets sent off to arrest Syndulla supporters. I love the framing of this with the subtle emotions on display here. You can only slightly tell he is trying to protect her, though it may be because he's the only clone with color here, and they tend to be the more human ones. Hera's having Chopper spy on the capital, but I believe the droid freaked out and they left to an abandoned outpost where her father used to command. She sends out a distress call to the Bad Batch. Tech wonders if Hera is overblowing the situation because kids sometimes overreact. Omega shoots down this theory by overreacting, but she's very sure that Hera is indeed in a lot of trouble. Hunter isn't too sure about this. They can't stick their neck out for every single person who gets into a bad situation. Omega answers, "I thought that's what soldiers do." Mic drop. So the Bad Batch end up back on Ryloth at Hera's coordinates. Hera explains the situation a bit more, and they go on some reconnaissance, where they're spotted by a probe droid. Hunter takes it down quickly, but it still alerts the Empire to their presence. So then Hunter takes a bit more convincing, because this would be very risky. Breaking into the capital where there are a bunch of troops that know they're here, getting prisoners out and escaping with them. As Hunter says, no money in the world is worth it if you're dead. The risk isn't worth it here. Hera doesn't take this very well. Omega tells Hunter, "I would do the same thing for you." And then her and Hera actually come up with a plan themselves. Pretty much make a distraction at the mining depot, getting a significant amount of troopers out of the capital. While they sneak in, grab the prisoners and escape. But first, they'll have to take out the cannons, with chops. Back at the ranch, Crosshair tells Rampart that Clone Force 99 is here. Crosshair also tells Rampart not to underestimate them. Send him and his team to take care of this, because he knows how to deal with them. Rampart blows Crosshair off, by reminding him that he's supposed to be looking for Hera, and he'd better do it before he gets another team who actually can, which is when Hauser comes in. Him and Crosshair have a stare down, though it's more Crosshair staring at Hauser, with Hauser not knowing what to do with this, leaving Crosshair to storm out. I love how this is almost a matter of pride for Crosshair. Of course he's better than a regular clone trooper. He's been genetically altered to be. It was pretty intense. Now that I mention it, doesn't Crosshair look like a 3D version of Vegeta? I mean, I feel that's how I would describe the character to a DBZ fan. He's the Vegeta character. I don't mean to make light of his character, and it's obviously deeper than some vague archetype, but these are just characteristics I've noticed between these two. It was at some point where Hauser went to talk to Cham and Eleni, asking pretty desperately if they know where Hera is. He's trying to protect her, but they don't believe him because he didn't do such a good job of it with their planet. This seems to affect him a little bit because he knows that they are right. So the Bad Batch have a plan and start executing it. Chopper is up first to deactivate the cannons. They're technically robot cannons, I think, is the best way to describe them. I love seeing Chopper get through, stealthing his way through the front gate, and getting to the control panel. It was pretty silly, but still had the sense of dread if he gets caught. He gets a different droid out of the way, then realizes he can't do anything about the cannons. We weren't really given an explanation for this, because he was caught by a couple troopers. Hera also didn't repeat what he said or anything, but I'm guessing some sort of security code might have been needed or something. Since Chopper failed, Omega cleverly decides to improvise. They take a shuttle that dropped off a bunch of prisoners. I assume this was the first wave of Twi'lek slaves and Syndulla supporters or something. But anyway, they knock out the troopers and pick Chopper up, and start attempting to fly, crashing and banging around. I did say attempting, but it seems to be working, because we literally see one of the clone troopers call for backup. I thought that was also pretty silly, mostly because the Empire immediately sends backup. No questioning, no conversation, nothing. But they pretty much fly around all crazy like, with Tech flying the Marauder to keep the distraction going. We find the story back at the Ryloth capital again. Rampart tells Hauser, some of them isn't enough. All of the Syndulla supporters need to be arrested and taken care of. Hauser replies, Sir, if we just arrest innocent civilians, that will just start an uprising. Again, Rampart blows this off and pretty much tells him to just do it and watch over the capital. Rampart is leaving to investigate the attack. Crosshair is also supposed to go, but he thinks for more than 2 seconds about it. The mining facility isn't their goal, so why are they attacking it? He actually disobeys orders, which he hasn't done since having his inhibitor chip in hands, and stays behind with his crew to stop his old clone force. Hunter and Echo get into the base pretty easily from here. Seems like most of the resources are gone. I'm glad they didn't show getting to the prisoners again, because I feel like that this would be the 3rd time in a row or something, but go be surprised to see them. They make their escape. Meanwhile, a bunch of clone troopers set up right outside the main entrance. Crosshair is up high, planning on sniping them out as soon as the doors open. But before the Bad Batch gets out the door, Hauser stops them. He warns them about the oncoming trap. Cham and Eleni questions him again. Hauser announces that he's on their side, and that he's sorry for not stopping this earlier, but he hopes to make amends now. But Cham and Eleni don't want it to be obvious that Hauser helped them. Nor does Hauser want to shoot down any of his men, as they're just following their orders. Just because they are bad guys doesn't mean they are bad guys. So Eleni comes up with a plan to take the Senator shuttle off-world to the East Wing or something like that. Hauser has some balls to go out there and announce to all of his men that what they're doing is wrong. They once came to free this world, and they have. Now look, they're occupying this world like the Separatists before them. He even gets a few people to agree with them. Crosshair has everybody who listened arrested, of course, but I honestly thought he would have sniped Hauser at this point. Not because he's a reg, but this is sort of mutiny, and sort of like being a traitor, at least to the Empire's perspective. The Bad Batch fly away with their 3 ships, the Senators, the weird drop ship Hera's driving, and the Marauder. I mean, I'm glad, but I do feel like Crosshair really needed a win here. The Bad Batch say their goodbyes, and it seems like it alludes to them joining forces with the Syndullas sometime in the future. Omega and Hera get to say their goodbyes too. I really like their friendship in this. It's pretty short-lived, and it doesn't get a ton of room, but the way they interact makes this feel like a genuine friendship. But I do hope they see each other again soon. They make a good team. Crosshair meets Rampart at the wreckage of the mining facility. Rampart feels kind of ashamed for underestimating the Bad Batch. If only they were working with the Empire and not against. Crosshair requests permission to hunt them down, and Rampart grants that permission. We end with Crosshair having this regretful look on his face. But for what? Is he apologetic for joining the Empire? Or is he guilt-ridden because he knows he has to kill his old team members? Not that that's bothered him before, but I'm wondering if that look to Hauser from above wasn't him about to kill Hauser, but if Crosshair actually agreed with him. Does he want to hunt down Clone Force 99 to rejoin them? We're quickly getting to the end of the season, so I'm sure within 2 months we'll find out. This episode was pretty good. I'd have liked to see it go on for slightly longer. I don't know how they would do that considering the story feels complete. I just mean in terms of being sort of like an arc, like the Clone Wars used to have. But I guess better to have interesting duo episodes than have an extra slow and bland episode. But I think that's about it for this one, guys. If you want to keep up to date, please blast that subscribe button for more, and ignite that bell icon to stay notified. I'd love to hear your opinions and interpretations about the more subtle facts about this episode. So please make sure you comment those down below. And as always, have a good day.